You might think that your For You page feed is goated, but you probably haven't been honorably inducted into the schizo algorithm. Everywhere you look, there are people speculating that they are being followed or messed with by the powers outside of their control. One such page that has blown up since early 2025 is Lisa, aka Stalked by the Feds. Lisa believes that because of an affair with an ex-FBI operative turned reality TV star, that her life has been turned upside down with alleged stalking, intimidation, and coercion. Today we'll be looking into that story that she has posted online and try to decipher the reality of the situation.
Put under federal investigation just a matter of weeks after telling a federal law enforcement officer's wife that he was cheating by accident. This was not a coincidence. Lenny and Ellie DePaul had a federal criminal investigation opened on me weeks after Lenny and I had an inappropriate relationship and I told his wife what was going on. All Lenny and Ellie DePaul had to do was go to their friends in the feds and say, look into this girl, open a case. And they can. They can say it's a threat assessment. They can say it's a preliminary investigation. And so this is how my case was opened because I was not doing anything illegal. They opened a case on me because they wanted to retaliate against me, and they have been digging something up ever since 2020. Ever since the affair, they have been trying to pin a federal crime on me because Lenny and Ellie DePaul want to put me in prison to retaliate against me for the affair.
Lisa claims that she had a non-sexual relationship over DMs with a man named Lenny DePaul. Lenny has starred on numerous different investigative shows on the History Network. Lisa claims that because of his connections, he's been able to string together covert surveillance and hounding of her personal life for the past 4 years.
The total investigation has been 4 years. It began in 2020, right after the affair. But I have been surveilled by the feds 24/7 since I became disabled in 2023. So when I became disabled in January of 2023, the feds showed up in my neighborhood and have been watching my every move ever since, trying to...
Well, surely the federal government wouldn't waste their time and funds to investigate what would be a relative nobody in order to help out a former government agent in a strictly personal and civil conflict. And while we'll discuss Lisa's arguments for these accusations, it's important to start at a ground level and dissect their intimate DM conversations.
One of my posts last night and said that Lenny is saying all we did was have a conversation and that I'm making it to be more than it was. So I have no choice but to show people what really transpired over the 2 months that Lenny and I had this inappropriate relationship. Weeks after I told his wife what he was doing behind her back, my mail and my packages started to arrive ripped open and taped back up with clear packing tape. At this time in my life, I was a graduate student. I was a nurse practitioner student.
So post an alleged relationship happening, Lisa claims that they would have multi-hour Instagram FaceTime lewd conversations, which consisted of full-body naked chats, to which Lisa showcases the amateur nature of these supposed messages.
So Lenny and I would FaceTime daily in the nude. I can identify that man from head to toe. It was not just a conversation. He was actively cheating on his wife, and we spoke daily. It was the real Lenny DePaul because we FaceTimed, so I saw him from head to toe in the nude, and he was also helping me look up information about my father because he owns his own PI firm, and he was helping me find some information surrounding my dad and his death. Then this conversation, I said, F the shorts, I'm going to sleep naked. He said, don't blame you. I said, oh, so you're naked too? He said, yep. And then he said, LOLC, and he sent me a picture that disappeared because, Instagram pictures disappear after a certain number of seconds or whatever. And then I said, the only reason you would stay awake is if I sent a pic of my boobs without a bra. He writes, yes. I said, night.
It's important to note that the profile picture of this account shows the first Lenny DePaul image when you Google search his name. Also, the addition of an American and Italian flag adjacent to his name is just a nice touch. She could just click on his account to prove it's him, right? Well, no, because he deactivated his account just after the supposed relationship happened. Lisa explains all of this away by saying she wouldn't make an issue out of nothing and that even his daughter has commented on her posts taunting her in relationship to the illegal surveillance of her.
So I'm not making this more than it was. I'm making it exactly what it was. So Lenny DePaul is lying again, and he's absolutely a cheater. And if you do a reverse number lookup on the phone number that I was texting for Ellie DePaul, the number comes back to Eleanor DePaul. And so that was the real Ellie. This was the real Lenny because we were FaceTiming. They know who I am. I have the screenshots of their daughter with 250,000 followers, 250,000 followers, commenting, "Hey girly," with 2 laughing faces on my post.
It would be easy to just hand wave all of this away as some kooky woman fabricating a story to tell the internet for unknown reasons. Lisa has kept a lot of her personal life private, giving glimpses into her reality. She's from Michigan, she grew up with a single mother, and even received masters from 2 extremely prestigious schools, and was preparing to become a nurse. However, some type of undiagnosed disease led her to becoming obese and then losing all of that weight. In some unexplained correlation, Lisa was also declared medically disabled or unable to operate at a normal level by her insurance company. It will explain why she has so much free time and is able to live an upper middle class to lavish lifestyle. I think it's important to try and explain this early because it might help give some amount of clarity to the otherwise confusing and shrouded story of Lisa. Lisa exists in this state of hyper-vigilant paranoia. She doesn't feel like she can trust anyone in her life and assumes that whenever someone does enter her life, it's for some nefarious reason.
Is that when the feds are after you, you cannot meet a single real person in your life. Everyone that enters into your life is there with a purpose. They're there to either set you up for the feds to get you to do something that you shouldn't do so that they can build their case, or they're there to get information out of you. They have your entire life completely surrounded. So you can't make any real friends. You can't date. Everybody that enters into your life is planted there with a purpose. And then the people come in, fulfill their purpose, and then disappear.
This leads to a life that honestly is just sad to witness. She believes that every person is being individually brainwashed in order to manipulate her. This extends to random roommates that she tried to get upon moving to Arizona.
And they believe it to their core, and they literally villainize you. They think that you're a monster, and somehow they're able to get people that you've known for 20 years to believe their shit. Like, they are master manipulators, and they brainwash everyone around you to think that you're this menace to society. With roommates, because I didn't know anyone here, and I thought living with roommates would give me like a sense of community and like help me get to know people and then meet friends through my roommates and, you know, just develop connections with people. And so I almost lived with roommates. And these feds tried to plant roommates in my house to watch me.
The odd part of Lisa's world is that you very rarely see other people actually pop up in her stories. You can feel the loneliness and lack of optimism presented when she talks about someone who's just off camera, but trust me, they really believe everything that I've been saying.
I've never seen this lady before because she lives like kind of far away from where I am. But just, I heard someone saying, "Lisa, Lisa." And so I turned around, and this lady is like, "Oh my God, I saw you on Instagram." And she's like, "I just wanted to tell you that I've called the police a couple of times on cars that have been sitting around the neighborhood that like aren't belonging to any of these houses." And she said one of the other neighbors went up to one of these cars and knocked on the window to see who was in it, and like they only cracked it like this much and was like, "What do you want?" And like were really rude. And so she was saying that the neighbors have been calling the police on all the cars sitting around my neighborhood, and the police won't do anything about them. Like the police, they're not making them move. So it's not just me. I asked her, I was like, "Do you want to make a TikTok with me and tell people that?" Since, like, you know, I have quite a few people who don't believe me. And she didn't want to be on camera.
So let's get into the hard-hitting evidence. The proof that Lisa is being badgered by law enforcement on a daily basis. One of her smoking gun allegations is that there are cars parked in places that she is at or that these cars have temporary license plates or tinted windows in Arizona, which is in a desert and is always bright and hot outside.
What I notice is that there are new cars parked all over your neighborhood that you have never seen before. And these cars will likely have those foldable sunscreens in the windshield that you can put in to block the sun to keep the car cooler. You'll likely see those screens all over the vehicle. This is so true. When you're under federal investigation, you have zero privacy. Zero. They will be in your Ring cameras looking at what you're doing in your house. Like I said, they have pole cameras up looking at the outside of your house. They have cars set up all around your neighborhood that have cameras on them. And then you have 24/7 surveillance when they follow you around everywhere you go.
On basically a daily basis, she will post something of what she thinks is a suspicious vehicle. I will say that it seems like she sees a lot more temporary plates than I do on a daily basis, but I'm not actively seeking out these items in my life. And since watching her content, I've been more aware and honestly noticed them a lot too. I've never been under investigation before, but I assume that any car brand could be used to surveil. However, the addition of bumper stickers to me just seems kind of moronic. Isn't the point to be inconspicuous, not to stand out to the general public? Wouldn't putting bright yellow tags on your covert car bring attention your way?
So for me, they're using student driver stickers. I've all of a sudden been surrounded by cars with student driver stickers. They'll also use a lot of Uber and Lyft stickers on the Fed cars. I'm telling you right now that a lot of the vehicles that have been used in my surveillance have been Hyundais, Toyotas, and Kias, a lot of foreign cars. And that BMW sitting outside of my house with blacked out windows and an out-of-state license plate is a Fed car. And people are expecting them to only drive American cars. But these vehicles that I showed you in this video with government plates shows that these are government vehicles that are not American made. So this does happen.
So why not confront these evil freaks? Well, Lisa has attempted interacting with them. Here's a good one, where some 18-year-old kid is sitting in his car on his phone, albeit weirdly parked adjacent to our BMW in the middle of the night.
Walked out of beat-ups. They always park right fucking next to my car. So I walk out, and it's like the whole parking lot. You guys, it gets even better. The little gang stalker sitting in his car with his hood up. Let's go say hi to him.
Unsurprisingly, local law enforcement is also in on the investigation, and according to Lisa, are consistently trying to bewilder her with abnormal behavior.
With you, like I said, they flicker their lights on and off while you're walking. They'll drive up next to you while you walk and stop and then speed off really fast. I've had them turn off their headlights completely and drive really recklessly and fast around.
Occasionally, she'll bring up more damning pieces of evidence with no tangible proof of these altercations occurring. For instance, she claims they'll do things like turn off her hot water from the outside while she's trying to take a shower.
My circuit breaker for the house is outside, on the outside of the house where anyone can get to it. They go and they flip the water heater switch off so you get into a freezing cold shower. So I just had to go downstairs and flip it back on. And they did the same thing in Bali because my room, when I would take a shower, it would be freezing cold. I got no hot water, but then I demanded that I got a different room. I asked for a different room, and at first they wouldn't do it, but then I was like, no, I want a different room because I was next to some people who were driving me crazy. And when I went to the new room, it had hot water.
I'm a bit confused because isn't the shutoff valve typically on your water heater, which would be located inside the house, not just randomly placed on the exterior of your home? But the paranoia doesn't stop there. Like how the feds try to infiltrate her friend circle, they also intermingle with her mom's new partners.
Okay, so I am totally convinced that my mom's new boyfriend is a gang stalker because I told you guys that when I was in Bali, someone emailed me and said that they were going to call and do a wellness check on my mom because her boyfriend was like screaming at her in front of me. But then I just spoke to her on the phone and she and her boyfriend were in the car together. And while we were talking on the phone, he was like screaming and degrading her and she's not happy. Like, they've only been together for like 5 seconds. Like, it's literally been like maybe 3 to 4 months that they've known each other. And usually you're happy when you're in a new relationship and it's exciting and it's new. She's been miserable and she's like constantly tired.
By far, my favorite evidence that Lisa presents are the random people who are definitely documenting her while she works out at 3 a.m. It's like a brain rot challenge from 10 years ago, gone wrong. But instead of Elmo consuming the Among Us potion, you've got Greg, who works night shift getting off and going to the gym.
So I came in here to get away from the people who film me constantly, and as you can see, there's no movie playing on the screen. There's no reason for anyone else to be in here, but here's this joker.
The evidence she tries to present is just half-cocked nothing. She claims it's the same people every time when it's not. And when she tries to claim a dude is following her, he's literally working out chest on bench and then gets up to use the chest fly machine. Almost like he's working out chest that day.
This just makes my point. I'm in a totally different area of the gym now and the same motherfucker.
But like the car stalkers, once in a while she'll muster up the courage to confront one of these feds. Coincidentally, you only ever see what Lisa shows you and never see the build-up to these actions.
Say that again. Say that again, man. Say that again on camera. Let me hear you say that again. What'd you call me? What did you call me?
Excuse me, I don't know who you are.
What did you call me? You just called me a bitch, yeah.
Lisa goes on to explain that the reason that these people follow her around is to try and plant a crime on her so that she'll get arrested. She explains that the feds' end goal is to tag her with a petty crime because then she won't be able to get a lighter sentencing because then she would have a criminal record.
They thought that they were going to put me under federal investigation and that I would have no idea that this was going on until the arrest or the indictment came, because most people don't know they're under investigation until that point. And then they thought that I wouldn't be able to come forward with my story because I wouldn't look believable because they made me into a fraud and so nobody would believe me. But unfortunately for them, I'm a relatively intelligent person and I've known this was going on since as soon as they had this opened on me. And I didn't come to TikTok to spew this story because I wanted to be vindictive. I came because I want my life back. This was not a coincidence. This was selective and unfair prosecution. This was malicious prosecution, and this investigation was opened with malicious intent.
If you go to her page today, the comments are mostly inundated with people low-key believing her or gaslighting her into sharing similar stories to make Lisa believe that she is not alone.
This comment, retired Navy, U.S. Marshal, and Secret Service, plus he has his own PI firm? Yeah. Yes, this is my point. Why would I name drop? I haven't said anything that's a lie. I've only shown screenshots of the communications that I definitely had.
By far the most frequently brought up argument against her far-fetched ideas is the simple monetary cost of 24/7 surveillance and multiple agents spending their lives following her. We're talking millions of dollars for an investigation when the feds could just plant something on her and arrest her like they're experts at doing. Participating in the whole rigmarole is just a long-winded waste of money.
The government has funds allocated for federal criminal investigation. I'm also getting a lot of comments saying that the feds would not put all this time into someone for petty crimes. They would only do this for someone who's like Al Capone. And I normally would agree with you. However, I have to tell you that I am not the first person that this has happened to. There is someone out there in the world who has knowledge of what's happening to me and has the ability to put a stop to these crimes. I just need one person who has the ability to help me to come forward and investigate this. Don't be fooled, you guys. Things are not as they appear. Don't take things at face value. People are trying to discredit me, and I promise you, you are going to see a lot more crazy shit popping up on me, especially since I'm not backing down.
Another popular point of contention is that maybe it's just a private investigator from her insurance company making sure she didn't commit fraud. She thinks that her insurance company is collaborating with the feds in order to get back at her for threatening a lawsuit against them years ago.
So I'm getting a lot of comments asking me how I know it's the feds and not a PI for my disability insurance company. And the reason is that I threatened my disability company with a lawsuit for harassment, and they sent a certified letter back to me saying that they have never conducted surveillance on my claim. So everyone in the world believes that I'm disabled except for these feds. My disability company believes it. My doctors believe it. Nobody has a problem with me being disabled except for the feds, because they're trying to pin a federal crime on me, and I don't do anything illegal. This is all they have to go on. They are literally trying to get me to have a criminal history before they charge me so that I'm not eligible for early release and so that I cannot get a sentence reduction, because these bastards want to put me away for as long as they possibly can.
Then the question of why broadcast everything you're doing for the whole world to see? Well, according to Lisa, they're already wiretapping her and videoing her on a daily basis. She can't get a lawyer because it is too expensive, but will gladly walk into the belly of the beast to confront the feds.
I don't worry about posting here because I have nothing to hide. The second reason I don't worry about it is because the feds are in my phone, my emails, my text messages, my Google searches. They sit outside of my house and follow me everywhere that I go. They know everything anyways. They know everything there is to know about me without my social media. This doesn't help them at all. It doesn't add anything that they don't already have. Living in the United States is unaffordable. I keep getting the comment, how is it that you have money to go live abroad, but you don't have money to afford an attorney? And let me break this down for you. So I am living in the United States in Arizona. My rent is $3,050 per month. Plus on top of that, I pay all the utilities, the Wi-Fi, the bug sprayers, the housekeepers. I pay for all of that. And so it's very expensive. It adds up quickly. So tomorrow I'm going to a field office, an FBI field office, to report the crimes that are being committed against me.
Lisa now claims that they're reaching out to former acquaintances of hers in order to pull up any dirt.
But they got someone from my high school. Her name is Ann Novak. They got her to take part in my harassment, and she was actually the main reason that I had to start changing my phone number. So she's a nurse in California. We went to high school together. I went to a small private Catholic high school. There were about 100 people, give or take, in my graduating class. Anne and I were never close. I took all the AP classes. She was in regular classes. We didn't see each other, but we did cross paths in the hallway occasionally, and that was the extent of my relationship with her. I knew nothing about this chick whatsoever, besides passing her in the hallway. But all of a sudden in, I want to say 2022, she starts calling me incessantly and leaving me voicemails that are blank.
Lisa alludes to having some sort of mental illness that prohibits others from taking her seriously. At least, that's how I've interpreted her discussion on schizophrenia. Her only way out of this is bringing those evil bastards to justice.
Think of how hard it is for people without schizophrenia to convince others that they're being stalked and to get help for their stalking. Then add a diagnosis of schizophrenia on top of it and see how unlikely you are to get help.
I just want to say there's only one way out of this for me. It's not going to be you're going to shake money out of me. It's not going to be anything like that. You will never get what you want from me by behaving like this. I will never reinforce this type of behavior. I will never reward this type of behavior. The only way out, I will stay in this until I get the police to do the right thing. I will stay in this until I can prove to law enforcement what is happening to me. And these people, everyone involved in this organized crime, is held legally accountable. That's how this will stop for me, and no other way.
At this point, I feel like we've discussed enough for me to bring up my personal theories as to what this whole story is about. I think there are 3 possible options. Number 1, she's actually being stalked by a vindictive federal agency, and all the absurdist stories are true, but so wild it makes the general audience not believe her. Number 2, she has some sort of mental illness that has led her to fabricate stories of her own preconceived paranoia. Or, number 3, this is all bait in order to garner viewership and attention online. I think 3 is by far the most interesting theory because of how lavish of a lifestyle she lives. She drives a luxury car. She lives in an expensive house by herself with lawn care and housemaids. She travels on a frequent basis on a whim with no restrictions. She can order takeout whenever she wants and however often she wants, and has seemed uninterested in continued posting when the algorithm has stopped pushing her posts. All that to say, I think it's probably option 2. All that led up because Lisa actually decided to start a GoFundMe to help combat her issues. I wanted to give my perspective on her story before someone willy-nilly sends her money out of pity.
Some people reported my GoFundMe page, and GoFundMe just emailed me and said that I just have to make a couple of edits and then they can reinstate my fundraiser, which is what I'm going to be doing. But in the meantime, I created a new account, and I just wanted to let people know that I am raising money for 3 specific purposes. The first is for my legal battle against the DePauls and against the federal government for what they have been putting me through, this illegal surveillance. So I will be getting a civil rights attorney, and I will be suing the DePauls and the federal government for what they have been putting me through the last few years. And since I'm not able to work as a psych NP, I've lost 40% of my income. So this GoFundMe would help me pay off some debts that I accrued.
She extended the GoFundMe to include hiring a famous bodyguard who has worked with different rappers. At the time of recording, she has garnered almost $5,000 in donations. $3,000 is allegedly from former actor Todd Bridges. I believe that this might be fake because Lisa has mentioned her interest in Different Strokes, the TV show, in the past, which Todd acted in.
Security, and he has been a bodyguard to the stars. He's worked with Usher, A$AP Rocky, Jay-Z, Diddy, and he is willing to help me. He's willing to come to Mexico and do 24-hour surveillance, counter surveillance on the people who are stalking and harassing me so that I have everything documented and I can take it to an attorney and I can take it to the police. But as with any 24-hour security, there's going to be some costs involved, and so you guys, I'm sitting at my computer and watching my emails just pop up that people are donating, and someone that I don't know gave me $170 to go toward my security, and I can't stop crying. You are making my day, and thank you so much.
We've reached the point of asylum. Lisa has decided that she can't remain in the United States any longer and has to seek refuge in a foreign country. So we're off to Asia.
So I got some exciting news. I bought my plane ticket and my Airbnb to where I'm going to seek asylum. I'm going to take you guys along for the journey with me. I'm leaving in a week and 4 days, so it's happening very soon. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm excited. I'm excited to have freedom and peace.
Bali is our new house of operations, and upon arrival, Lisa has fallen in love with the cheap prices and convenience of the area she's in. However, suspiciously, her 2 cats are not with her on the trip, making it seem like this is probably just another vacation and not a new home base of operations.
And the best part is that it came with a cat who literally just walked herself right in and sat on my floor. So if you guys know how much of a cat lady I am, though, this is like a dream come true. So getting a bedroom with a cat who just let herself in. Hello, so it's my first day in Bali and it has been going well. I walk down the street because there's a gym down the street and I got a gym membership. It's only $30 a month. And I'm going to live the same life here that I've lived back in the US. I'm going to go for a walk every day, this time on the beach instead of in my neighborhood. And I'm going to go and exercise because exercise is medicine. And so that's what I'm going to do every day. But I'm just going to do it without being stalked. I bought groceries for the week and had it delivered on this delivery app. And my groceries for the whole week were $15. And that included delivery and everything and tip. So I get to get groceries for $15 a week.
I'd also like to include that Lisa doesn't seem like a bad person, and my perception is that she is just deluded. Like almost every other person I've covered, she does a food review and then helps out an animal on the streets.
Oh, this is good. Together. You ready? Look at him. I can't. Hi, baby. Hi. Are you sleeping by yourself? I brought some water for you.
But life in luxury can't last forever. The woman who documented her whole intent of moving away to get away from the feds, unsurprisingly, was followed to the new country.
Yeah, there's already been weird shit happening, like in my gym or when I stop at the market in the morning to get a coffee. Like, there's already creepy stuff that's been happening. So I think I've been followed here. Like, it has to be the feds. It can't be anyone else than the feds because they comment on my social media and they comment, like, my specific medications that I take and my specific diagnoses. And nobody knows what I'm diagnosed with and what I take except for my doctors and me and my disability insurance company, which is where the feds get my medical records. They get it from the disability insurance company. And so nobody would be able to access that information except for the feds.
So her evidence of being followed is that the people in the gym are staring at her. The white, blonde-haired foreigner is being gawked at by the native population. Groundbreaking investigative journalism here.
To be safe and to be free, and they followed me. They're being even more obnoxious in the gym now than they were back in the US. They're following me around the gym. They're staring at me for long periods of time, coming up and like breathing on my neck and moving their arms like this right next to me in the mirror, so I have to watch them in the background doing that. They're just trying to make my life as uncomfortable as possible. Yeah, I'm going to go to a few different countries in this region and stay for a few months at a time and then pack up and go to the next one. And I'm going to do that without posting anything on social media about my next location. I'm not going to say when I leave, where I end up, and I'm not going to talk about any of that. I'm not going to post any context clues with anything in the background for people to stalk me. And we'll do a little experiment and see if that changes anything. And the fact that they're still surveilling me here shows me that they don't have a case yet. Because if they did, we wouldn't have done all of this. They would have stopped me before I left the US. But how long are they going to try to drum up a case, drum up a charge on me?
Lisa, like every other naive first world citizen, believes that the system she comes from is the most corrupt and evil place on the earth, and that this foreign country where she knows no one and doesn't understand their legal or civil system could never do her any harm. But she's come to a solution. She'll hire a PI because they're cheap there in order to figure out what's truly going on. And in the meantime, we'll use a VPN to avoid detection, because everyone knows the most powerful intelligence agencies in the world have no way to circumnavigate that.
Our feds and our government and the corruption that exists there, nothing scares me anymore, and I highly doubt that the Indonesian police can be any worse. So I found a private investigator in Bali that's going to help me do surveillance, counter surveillance. And so I think having a private investigator who does this for a living will be able to show what's been going on more accurately and do a better job of it than I can, because they can have the camera on for the entire interaction and you can see it from a different perspective. Okay, tech people, I have a question for you. So I downloaded ExpressVPN, the app, and I paid the $112 or whatever it is for a year subscription. And I set it to the Netherlands because I read this article that says countries like the Netherlands, where the FBI, police, and other government agencies cannot force a VPN provider to keep and hand over any user information. So I have my VPN set to the Netherlands. But I wholeheartedly believe that the feds are still in my phone.
She starts to feel ill in her new room. She claims her hot water has been shut off again, and that mold is coming in from the AC unit. Must be the feds, guys, because we all understand that wall-mounted AC units never develop issues when in high usage in a tropical area.
I haven't been feeling very well. I don't know what's going on, but when I work out, especially like intense workouts like at F45, I get really sick after and feel very faint and weak. And today I walked to the grocery store, and by the time I got there, I felt very faint and weak and dizzy. And so I don't know what's happening. Air conditioning right there. That is turning my sheets black. So I'm like, am I breathing in some sort of toxins that's making me sick? Why are there so many people who are okay with doing this to a person? That's the part that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I would never agree to actively participate in doing what's been done to me to another human being.
Lisa decides to take her mind off things and go out with who she says is a Fed in order to bait them or something. She also touts how wonderful and respectful all the men are there. That seems true. I've never read stories of single Western women traveling to Southeast Asia alone and having something terrible happen to them.
So I went out tonight and I hung out with this Fed chick. I know she was a Fed chick because the shit she was saying, but she was still so nice anyways. So I had a bunch of margaritas and then I decided to walk home because I just wanted to get some exercise. As I was walking home, because it's like, 1 a.m. here, all these Balinese men were like stopping and like they were like, can I give you a ride? Are you okay? Like, they were so worried about me because I was walking home by myself at 1 a.m. And like, men here are so kind. They're not like hitting on you or like creepy or gross. Like, they're genuinely concerned for your well-being. And it's just a very different vibe here than I'm used to.
Oh, what do you know? Lisa wandering around in the middle of the night in a foreign country attracts creeps who start messing with her. Imagine my shock.
Like, the streets are busy here at all hours of the night. You never know who are the stalkers and who are not because the streets are flooded with people at all hours. The only time I really know that I'm being stalked is at the gym because they're so obvious and annoying at the gym. But I've gotten much better at just kind of like tuning them out, going to a different area. The other day this chick came and like was doing deadlifts on me while I was doing a leg exercise. Like, she literally came and like put her ass on me and started deadlifting, and I just like booted her out. Like, I just like kicked my leg and she had to leave. And so now I'm just kind of like, I can handle it because it's just in two places. It's when I go to F45 or when I go to my regular gym. Everywhere else, restaurants, the beach, walking up and down the street, jumping on the back of a scooter, I don't have any idea that I'm being stalked here. And so I love that because I feel like I have more freedom here. But I know everything that's happening. I'm documenting everything that's happening. My PI is documenting my physical stalking here in Bali.
She also claims that the feds have broken into her apartment and stole her blender bottle in order to unsettle her. She says there are cameras recording the space, yet never shows proof of a Fed breaking in.
My stalkers have actually let themselves into my room where I'm staying, and they took a blender bottle from me. Everything else is untouched and left in the same condition, but my blender bottle is missing. The good news is that there's a camera that literally faces my room. Like, literally peering into my window pretty much. So we're gonna find out who let themselves in and who stole my shit.
Regardless of all the creepy and horrifying things that have allegedly occurred, Lisa decides that now is a good time to get a year lease on an apartment and stay there for the future.
I am going to look at an apartment on Friday to sign a year lease because I'm actually going to be living in Bali full-time for at least a year, maybe more. We'll see what happens with my life as time goes on. But now just to think that I went from never leaving my house for 4 years to now I'm living in Bali and like living my life on the beach, going to my F45 exercise class and just like doing the damn thing. I'm proud of myself for being here and making it this far and having the courage to travel here by myself. This is my first time traveling solo and I've been enjoying it. I like it.
But all that was once great has crumbled into ash. She announces that she'll be deactivating her 300,000 follower Instagram account because the algorithm has stopped pushing her content, making me wonder once again if this was all just an act.
So I'm going to be taking a break from social media for a while. My posts really aren't being pushed out by TikTok anymore ever since I started posting from abroad, and I'm planning on living abroad for at least a year, but maybe indefinitely. But there's just not really a point now that no one's seeing my post because I want people to know what's happening to me, and people aren't seeing it. So
don't worry, guys. She retracts all that the next day and reiterates that her posting keeps her safe and updates everyone as to what is going on in her life.
Okay, so I decided I'm not going to let these people silence me. So I do think that my online presence and exposing these people for what they're doing to me is protecting me in a sense, because when they thought that they silenced me, when they thought that they got me to go away, I started getting harassed even worse than I had been. And I am an enemy of the feds because I pissed off a federal law enforcement officer who is very high up and has the power to have something like this done to me.
Before you know it, her 2-week vacation to Bali is over, and she is back home in Arizona, gearing up to move out because her lease is up. Somehow, there's always something coincidental that keeps the story carrying on, when it should have ended years ago.
Well, I'm back home in my office. I haven't seen you guys from here in a while. Feels good to be back, but it's going to be temporary and short term because my lease ends at the end of March, so I will be leaving and I am going back to live abroad. I do not want to be in this country anymore. I said, I know that's because they know our lease is ending, so what would be the point of sending a bunch of people here to surveil me for 2 weeks? It would be a 2-week job, which is just not worth their time. And so I walked into the gym and I said, is there a problem? Oh, no, and just pretended as if she did not just stare me down and give me the dirtiest look that I've ever been given in my life. So they're still here, but there are just less of them.
Lisa is now upset that the feds aren't following her anymore. She's walking down the streets at night, basically begging for attention from people who are apparently ruining her life.
You guys, I'm on my walk and nobody's fucking bothering me. I mean, they still have people coming to the gym. Just 1 or 2 though. It used to be like a whole fucking mob of people. So what is this about? Is this because of the budget cuts? There's no more feds? Or like, what is happening? Like, I'm only being surveilled by like 2 people now versus the whole literal gang that they had on me before.
It just kind of gets sadder from here on out. She returns to her friend's home in Michigan and reiterated that her friends would reach out if they thought that she was acting erratic. But she is acting erratic, and no one has stepped in to help her out. At least not publicly.
Someone commented on my Instagram post where I said that this feels like a prison without walls and something weird is going on because my friends have gotten away from me, and this is my first time home in Michigan where I don't have anyone to see. This has never happened before. My friends are good people. If they thought that I was having a delusion, they would support me. They would show up and be there for me. They wouldn't want me to be alone and isolated. That's not how people are. When you're sick, you show up for someone. If someone is not doing well, you show up and help them. My friends are those types of people. They would never just be like, oh, well, we're not going to be around her because she's going through something difficult. You don't punish someone who's sick, you help them. And that's the type of people that my friends are.
Lisa claims her next move is to relocate to Mexico.
Successfully made it so that I'm not able to cross into Mexico with my car. They had my lien holder, which is BMW Financial Services, fraudulently tell me that I'm not able to take my car into Mexico. And how do I know that they did this? Because yesterday, my lien holder said, oh, we have the approval for you. We'll be sending out that notarized letter tomorrow. Well, I called today and they said, oh, sorry, we changed our minds, actually. We're not going to allow you to take the car into Mexico anymore, and we won't be issuing the letter. But now I'm flying, so I had to go down to the border and get my refund. And now I'm driving, and I'm on this stretch of road by the border where I am the only person on the road for miles. I've been the only person for like 30 minutes. You guys, I have not been alone in years. But now that I'm in this very remote, like nothing is around area, let me see if I could show you. Like I'm literally in the middle of fucking nowhere. No civilization. There's not a gang stalker in sight.
It hasn't been proven that she actually moved there, but she is in a new apartment and is still leading on stories that go deeper into the absurdity.
I asked my doctor today to order a toxicology test and a hair test because I want to look back at like the last 6 to 12 months. I really think that the people who are stalking me are poisoning my food. I don't know with what. That's why I want the toxicology screening. But when I order DoorDash or any type of delivery food, it comes to me and I eat it and I get immediately sick. Like my stomach immediately starts to gurgle and bubble and I'm running back and forth to the bathroom. If I go to the restaurants myself and pick up the food myself, nothing happens. And all of my hair is falling out. I've been having a lot of cognitive symptoms and memory problems, and I've just been feeling generally unwell. I keep pushing myself and going to the gym because that's just going to make me feel better, but it's been a challenge.
In conclusion, I honestly don't know what I think about Lisa. If she somehow sees this, she'll probably assume I'm associated with the feds and am working with them to tarnish her great name. I'd be curious what you think of all of this, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.